Well, hello! Welcome back to my channel. Shoshana here to talk about some friggin' life stuff. So I don't necessarily get like super duper personal on my channel a lot, but I mean, I'm pretty open about things and I'm an open person in real life, so it just makes sense that I would be open on my channel. And I don't believe I really mentioned anything here yet, but I did mention on Twitter something that I have been kind of dealing with over the last couple of months, few months actually, kind of since last fall, really. And I didn't talk about it a lot because I didn't really know what was happening. We're just gonna have a little bit of a story time right now because I gotta go back to last summer. Last summer in June, I was having a heck of a month. You guys know if you've been around for a minute, but I just had a really rough summer. I had a breakup of a 5+ year relationship happening, and then being technically homeless, but luckily living with a family member for a while I figured out my living situation. And if you've ever searched for an apartment, you know that it is annoying and stressful. And then in the end of June, I had an apartment locked down, and that weekend I was going to be getting the keys, and the Thursday before I got into a car accident on the way to work. I was rear-ended on the freeway, and luckily I was not injured seriously. I got some whiplash though. My car also was not completely damaged. It was damaged enough to need to get fixed though, of course, but it was drivable, so that was fine. And again, I wasn't seriously injured. The other person wasn't seriously injured, so that was all great. But I did, like I said, get a little bit of whiplash, so I went to the chiropractor's office and they sent me to go get an MRI just to make sure. That came back saying I had a herniated disc, nothing super intense, but you know, something to keep an eye on and work with. But also it came back something unrelated to the accident, that I had a suspicious like nodule in my thyroid, that just something looked weird, and they wanted me to then get an ultrasound to get that checked out. So I go get an ultrasound, and this is over like a month and a half, and I go get the ultrasound, and then a month later get the results from that, and it came back that it was a highly suspicious nodule, and they wanted me to get a biopsy scheduled with an endocrinologist. So that was in like October, I want to say. And I called and I made my appointment, but as a new customer for this very busy endocrinologist, I couldn't get in until the beginning of January. So I had to wait a few months to find out what was really going on. And actually I had to postpone my trip to the Philippines for work by like a couple days, because then they wanted us to leave on the day that I had this appointment. And I was like, can I please wait? Because I've been waiting for months for this and I need to find out what's going on because I could have cancer. So I have this appointment on a Monday and I'm supposed to get the biopsy. Well, they have to do blood work first. And that took like 24 hours. And based on the answers to the questions and everything like that, and the lab results from the ultrasound, the endocrinologist was saying it was a 70 to 90% chance that I would have thyroid cancer. And apparently if you have thyroid cancer, it will not get past stage 2 unless you're like 55. Like if you're younger than 55-ish, I'm sure it's not exact, it like can't go past stage 2. I don't know why, whatever. And that with thyroid cancer, you don't need to like go get chemotherapy and radiation and all that. What they do is they do surgery on your neck and they take your thyroid out. They used to take your entire thyroid out, but now they only take part of it, and you may or may not need to be then on medication for the rest of your life because your thyroid, you know, it does stuff and you kind of need it. So that's what I was looking at. And so the next day I went and had the biopsy, which is an experience. Let me just tell you, I've never had a biopsy on any other, well, okay, that's a lie. We'll get into that in a second. So they're just sticking needles in my neck for like, they had to do 4. So there's someone over, I'm laying down and there's someone over here with the, what am I saying, the ultrasound thing. And then the endocrinologist is looking at the screen and like poking me in the neck. And it didn't necessarily hurt, but it was very uncomfortable. You can't move, you can't swallow. And I could feel like it pushing on the inside of my throat, like from the inside of my neck. And it was just so weird. I was just like, this is uncomfortable. It just felt so bizarre. But then I had to wait a few weeks to find out. So I'm just like, all right, cool. And while I was in the Philippines, one day I was writing in my journal and I was writing about how, oh yeah, I'm waiting to find out. I should find out next week probably from the doctor if I have thyroid cancer or not. And I just really, I was not necessarily freaked out about the cancer part, because the way the doctor explained it was like, you know, if you're gonna get cancer, that thyroid cancer is like pretty kind of low-key cancer, which, I mean, it's cancer, but so I wasn't necessarily like, oh my gosh, freaked out that I might have cancer. I just really did not want to have surgery again. I turned 30 and had to have a biopsy and ended up having to have surgery, technically, cervical surgery to stop cervical cancer from happening. They had to take tissue out. Fun times. And then last year, when I was 31, I had an emergency appendectomy, and I'm over it. I'm like, can I go? And it was January for the cervical thing, and then February for the emergency appendectomy. And so here I am in January of this year, finding out that I might have to have surgery on my thyroid, and I'm just like, can I not? Like, please. Not only is it, like, you know, kind of stressful and time consuming, gotta take time off work, you gotta heal, all this annoying crap. And then also the money. Like, yeah, I have pretty good insurance, and luckily it covered pretty much everything, but it's still, you know, thousands of dollars in medical bills. And I don't want it. I don't want it. Not that anyone would, but I was just like, please, can I not? So anyways, I'm writing my journal, and I set the journal down, and I'm not kidding you guys. I'm not joking. Within 3 minutes of me setting it down to pause, I don't know, I was looking at my phone or something, I get a phone call, and it's an Arizona, a Phoenix number, so I'm like, oh, I should pick that up. It might be like somebody. And it was the doctor's office telling me that it was benign and I do not have active thyroid cancer, and I just need to come back in 6 months to get it checked out and just make sure things are still cool. So, yay. And it's kind of funny because, of course, last summer when I get rear-ended and on top of everything else that's like stressful in my life at the time, I was just like, really? Can this not be a thing? And then the whole getting my car fixed and having the rental car, and it was all just, it was a mess. It ended up fine, of course, my car is better and whatever, but the process was just so irritating. So at the time, I was not thinking, yay, I got rear-ended. But it just goes to show that I guess if you wait long enough, there's a good reason for most everything that happens in your life, even if it doesn't feel like it at the time. And honestly, I don't actually believe that. I think there are just some genuinely shitty things that happen in life for no good reason whatsoever. But every now and then you get something that, you know, it could have been worse. It wasn't great. But if I hadn't gotten into that accident, if I hadn't gotten rear-ended and gotten whiplash, I would not have known that there is anything going on with my thyroid. I don't go to the doctor regularly, like every 6 months just for checkups. I don't have a primary care physician, which one of my best friends already like yelled at me about. So I wouldn't have known, and maybe I wouldn't have known until it developed into genuine cancer, right? So it's good that I got rear-ended at that time. So there we have it. There's my little chatty story time. Thanks for listening, and hopefully, you know, this was sort of interesting to some of you anyway. As always, I appreciate your time, and I hope you have a wonderful day. I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.